This is the 80s Show on iHeartRadio.
Let's go. Come on, let's go. Say ho, ho. Say ho, whoa, ho, whoa. Let's start the show. Let's start the show. Let's start the show. Let's start the show.
Yeah, buddy. If you ever needed a clear illustration that professional sports was all about the almighty dollar, you weren't going to get it. You weren't going to get a better example of the fact that professional sports is all about the almighty dollar than today with the NFL flip-flopping over suspending Adrian Peterson. This should be the sound that the NFL should be making right now with regard to having their personal decisions about what's best for their league dictated to them by sponsors. Thank you, Anheuser-Busch. Now, on the other hand, gotta say, I kind of sort of like understand and support and endorse Anheuser-Busch because they're looking out for their brand, aren't they? Yeah, they are. They get to grab some brownie points with the general public in this particular situation, as well as protect the brand that they have not struggled, but, carefully built up and maintained over years and years and years. Look, these things branding's an important thing. And I began to fully understand that. I began to fully understand the importance of branding when I got into radio. Because, well, you get people that are going to come along and say, hey, would you be interested in being a brand ambassador for whatever the hell it is we're trying to hawk? And you go, sure, why not? Because, that's how you make a living in radio, partially. And although, man, I don't know about you, but I have certain heroes that I regard as sacred, and Bill Hicks is one of those heroes. And he said something at one point. He said, you do a commercial, you're off the artistic roll call forever. The only person that gets away with doing a commercial in this day and age is Willie Nelson. And when I started doing commercials, the words of Bill Hicks's ghost were ringing in my ears. If you do a commercial, you are off the artistic roll call forever. That being said, Bill Hicks came up in the 90s during a time when I don't know, you could make money off of things like just being talented. Bands would never think of taking on a corporate sponsorship in the 90s. It was such a dirty word. I remember being a kid, and we did a bunch of shows when I was a kid in a band with Smash Mouth. Yeah, true story. And I remember they were offered corporate sponsorship, not an edgy band by any stretch of the imagination in terms of raging against any particular machine, but they were offered a corporate sponsorship for their tour so they wouldn't have to take tour support from their record label and pay it back. And they were offered this corporate sponsorship from, I think it was The Gap or something like that. And they're like, no, man, no, we won't sell out our artistic integrity like that. Cut to, 15, 20 years later, it's so much harder to make a buck in this business. Nobody's buying any music. Everything is, brought to you for free on your phone in this day and age. So it's really hard to make a crust in this day and age. So, you don't have, it's the Jane's Addiction Alice in Chains tour anymore. You have Rockstar Energy Drinks. Brings you Jane's Addiction and Metallica. It's like true. Anyways. It takes time to build up a brand. It takes care to build up a brand. And, despite the fact that Bill Hicks says I'm off the artistic roll call forever for doing commercials for stuff, you do start to realize when you do commercials for things that, well, these people are trusting you with their brand. They're like, God, don't mess with it. And I remember because I was asked at one point in my career, he said, putting the word career in sarcastic air quotes. I was asked at one point in my career to endorse KY products. I got a call from a salesperson being like, hey, would you be interested in endorsing KY lubricant? And I was like, well, as it happens, I'm not currently endorsing any other types of lube. So yeah, why the hell not? I'll endorse KY. And what's very interesting about KY is they were stricter with how I presented them on the air than any other client. They're like, no, it has to be geared toward couples in a long-term loving relationship. It has to be presented in this way. Because we've spent so much time building up the KY brand that we're not going to let your punk ass ruin it for us. They said literally it's a slippery slope, pun absolutely intended, between being perceived as this acceptable face of lubricant and bedroom activities and being cheap ass motion lotion. And I 100% understood where they're coming from. So folks like beer companies, Anheuser-Busch, well, they've got a brand that they've spent a lot of time and effort and millions and millions of dollars building up. And when you have the amalgamation, the holy union of beer and football that we have in this country, and the NFL is going through the image problems it's going through at the moment, well, that doesn't make beer look great now, does it? If you've got sort of like your name branded on people that are shooting, beating kids, women, it's not a good look. Anheuser-Busch doesn't want to be associated with people that beat kids or people that beat women. So, like I said, if you ever needed a clear illustration that all the decisions that organizations like the NFL make are financially motivated, you're never going to get a better one than this. The Vikings have flip-flopped and suspended Adrian Peterson again a day after reinstating him. Why? Because Anheuser-Busch held their feet to the flames.
Always hot enough to do with the top down. Cool breeze, palm trees. Tonight it's all good in the 713.
If you like what you're hearing, tweet the show at ADSXE. AD on iHeartRadio.
I do what I want, when I want, how I want. Yeah, I do what I want, when I want, how I want. This is my United States of whatever. Picture me giving the damn, I say never. Yeah, I do what I want, when I want, how I want. Every day you're going and working.
So, in a move that showed incredible conviction, knowledge of where their personal moral compass points, and in no way, shape, or form illustrates their absolute allegiance to the almighty dollar, the NFL has been flip-flopping on Adrian Peterson. Rather, the Vikings have. The Vikings flip-flopped. They suspended Adrian Peterson again a day after reinstating him. They suspended him, then they got their asses handed to him on Sunday, and they're like, yeah, well, it's an ongoing process, and why should Adrian Peterson not be allowed to play, innocent till proven guilty, and, oh, God, we can't take another whooping, pardon the absolutely intended pun, like that again, otherwise, well, we're in tough shape for the rest of the season. So, yeah, after reinstating him, one day after, they suspended him again. So, if you're ready to update your NFL scorecard here, over a 5-day period, Peterson was suspended, reinstated, and suspended again. Team put out a statement saying, after giving the situation additional thought, we have decided that this is the appropriate course of action for the organization and for Adrian. What do you suppose spurred on that additional thought? Well, the additional thought seemed to happen right after Anheuser-Busch, the NFL's official beer sponsor, issued a statement expressing disappointment in recent league controversy. They put out a written statement saying, quote, we are disappointed and increasingly concerned by the recent incidents that have overshadowed this NFL season. We're not yet satisfied with the league's handling of behaviors that so clearly go against our own company culture and moral code. We have shared our concerns and expectations with the league. Basically being like, yo, if you don't get the women beaters and the child beaters off the field, it's going to make us look really bad, and we can't have that. So do something about it. And now we wait. And you know what? Here's the thing. Being the laissez-faire free market capitalist that I am at heart, Anheuser-Busch had every right to do that. They're like, we're slapping our name all over your organization and paying you a pretty penny for that privilege. And, you're not making us look real good at the moment. So do something or we're going to yank our dollars, and we have every right to do so. So, there you go. It's just interesting to see that. And look, it's beautiful and savage, the free market economy. It works in a lot of ways. And it's just, there's a very clear illustration here of exactly which side the NFL's bread is buttered on. I remember when I started to go, the NFL seems a little, I'm not so sure how I feel about this. When they added a new rule, I think it was at the end of the last season, they added a new rule. I don't even remember what it was, but it was basically something to make gameplay more exciting to watch on television. I was like, hold on. This is like, baseball, football, American is apple pie. No, we're going to change some rules so it's more entertaining to watch on TV so we can make more advertising dollars off of it. All of a sudden, the apple pie. Yeah, all of a sudden, the apple pie not smelling so freaking great. But there's a lot of money wrapped up in the whole situation, which is probably yeah. I talk professionally for a living. Can you tell? That's why I make the big bucks. Literally hundreds of dollars a year. But yeah, there's a lot of money floating around at the moment, which is probably why, like sharks smelling blood in the water, folks like Reverend Jesse Jackson are now rolling through trying to get paid by the NFL. How's that all working out? We'll discuss that a little later on in the show after we check in with super producer to the stars, Barry Funkhouser. Tweet him at FunkFM. When we take a look at the events of today in our segment, My Witness News, you can tweet me too at ADSXE. Funkhouser, A, how are you? B, what's going on in the world? What's new in the world of Funkhouser?
Nothing.
Nothing? No. Do you feel any different? Our company changed its name yesterday. We're now no longer Clear Channel. We are iHeartMedia.
iHeartMedia. You have to say it like that. Like nice.
Yeah.
Fanfare.
Oh, God. Do you feel any different? Have you noticed any differences?
No.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I don't know how to answer. They're listening.
I don't know how to answer and remain employed. I think it's a wonderful idea.
Yes, me too.
Only because a lot of people look at radio as a dying art form. And when I do radio, they're like, cool, what are you going to do next year when radio's over with? I'm like, media. Basically, we've all become creators of media and content. Look, if you got an iPhone or if you have a Galaxy, Samsung, the way I do, here's the thing. If you have the Samsung Galaxy S3,
not a sponsor.
They're not a sponsor. They should be. They sponsor some of my other stuff, and I've come to love their products. But here's the thing. If you have one of those, you have in your hand more filmmaking power than Orson Welles had making his movies. And therefore, creative minds like Funkhouser's and mine that have been relegated to radio for a long time are now free to create magical, wonderful content that nobody will pay attention to on the interwebs because everybody else has a phone and is making artistically viable movies. It's the thing I've noticed about this creation of digital content, whether it be, on-demand radio, some people call it podcasting, whether it be internet videos, whether, the creation of all this stuff, the quality of it almost doesn't matter. It really doesn't. Because there's a lot of, genius stuff out there. Just like there's a lot of, great bands that put out demos that'll never get out of their bedroom. That could be huge world-beating hits. It's not necessarily the talent or the quality of the work that matters. It's your ability to get people to check it out. There's a lot of amazing stuff, a lot of amazing content. I want to kick myself every single time I call anything we do content, but that's really what it's become. There's a lot of amazing content out there that no one will ever see. So, the real win is not necessarily being able to crank out prize-winning content. If cranking out quality content was something that made you win, Funkhouser and I would be doing this show from our own private island somewhere in the Bahamas. No, the real win is being able to drive people to it, to check it out, to listen to it. It's true. To the victor go the spoils, and in this particular instance, the victor is whoever the hell can drive people to listen to, the Funkhouser podcast. What's the show you do on Friday, Funkhouser?
Called The Dirt.
Yeah, The Dirt.